This employee was racist. Story time. So the other day, I was in this really expensive store doing some Christmas shopping for my mom because, she deserves it. And I wanted to give her like a really nice gift. Well, while I was in there, I came across these dinner plates and they were really expensive, but they were really pretty. And my mom never had fancy dishes because she never saw the point of them. So I decided I was gonna get her an entire set. Plates, bowls, cups, the whole thing. So I grab a box of the complete dinnerware set, and as I'm holding it, this employee comes up to me and she's making this weird face. And she goes, "I'm not sure if you're aware, but this is really expensive. Why don't I show you over to the clearance section?" And I was polite. I said, "Thank you. I don't need any help, and I know how much this costs, and I want to buy it." Then she had the nerve to say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. You just don't look like the type of person that could afford to shop here." And instead of getting all rowdy, I was just like, "Well, you're wrong," and I walked away. Obviously, I was upset. So you know what I did? I grabbed a cart and I found the most expensive items in that store, put them in my cart, and went to the cash register. And wouldn't you know, the same employee that came up to me was the one that was checking me out. So she rings me up, I pay, and she hands me my receipt and says, "Sorry for offending you earlier. You just really don't seem like someone who could shop here." So I hand her back the receipt and I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. I actually don't think I'm somebody who should be shopping here. I would like to return all these items, ma'am." She was so pissed that she didn't even respond. And later that day, I reported her to corporate because you ain't getting away that easy, sis.
My roommate's boyfriend keeps harassing me and I don't know how to tell her. Disclaimer is not my story time on Instagram. My roommate and I have been living together for 2 years now. Now, I wouldn't call her my best friend, but we are very close. We don't really talk about intimate things, but at the end of the night, she's always there and we usually have dinner together. Not really close to my family, so to me, it's important that she's there every single night. But here's where things get really bad. Her and I both got boyfriends around the same time. I met my boyfriend through a friend and he is the sweetest, purest thing ever. This man cries at every single movie, but he travels a lot for work, so he's usually not there. Now, my roommate's boyfriend, he's a personal trainer and I'm pretty sure he takes steroids because he's always angry. Should I say aggressive? His behavior became super obnoxious to me right away. As soon as he would come over to the apartment, he would start saying things like, "Babe, your roommate is so hot." Like he would say that about me to my roommate. Of course, she tried to laugh it off, but I know it bothered her. One day, he even started joking about how he was gonna come into my room one night while I was asleep. Obviously, I did not find this funny. That's when I asked him to leave the apartment. He got so mad, he called me a B-word in front of my roommate and slammed a drawer. Do you think my roommate stood up for me? No. Part 2 is up. My roommate's boyfriend keeps harassing me and I don't know how to tell her. Disclaimer is not my story time, it's not me on Instagram. After he called me a bitch and left the apartment, I was terrified. First off, this guy is 6'2" and he's built like a truck. He's like pure muscle. So when he's yelling in my face and slamming drawers, of course I'm terrified. But my roommate does nothing. But it gets worse. 2 hours after he left, he sends me a text message saying, "Fuck you." And then he sends me a picture of him with his tongue out, giving me the middle finger. I got up to show it to my roommate, but that's when she actually asked to talk to me. She sat me down on the couch and she started telling me how he's such a good man and how she's never been able to find anybody like him. Then she asked me if I could just try to get along with him. He even started crying and it broke my heart. So I decided to let it go. But the next time this guy came over, once again, he started playing super loud music. I came out of my bedroom because I was trying to work and I asked him nicely to turn it down. At this point, my roommate was showering, so it was just him and me in the living room. But then he gets up from the couch and walks slowly towards me, looking me up and down. That's when he says, "You wish you had a guy like me." I turned around and tried to walk back to my room, but he grabbed my arm and turned me around. Then he grabbed my face and tried to kiss me. I actually gagged. That's when he said to me that I was just playing and that I actually want him. The whole time he was squeezing my arm so hard, I finally got away and went into my bedroom. And that's when he sent me a picture of his thing. I literally almost died. I walked out and kicked him out again. This time he didn't put up a fuss, but now I don't know how to tell my roommate. What the heck am I gonna do?
My boyfriend and I met when we were 14 years old on vacation. I was going into high school and he was already in high school. He was a sophomore. So originally I saw him at the pool and I thought he was really cute, but I would never say anything to him. So at the resort, there was this cliff that people could go on and jump into like a 14-foot pool. And I was on the top of the cliff and my brother was basically harassing me. So I turned around and I like screamed at my brother. My boyfriend was behind my brother and he literally looked at me and said, "That's kind of rude, don't you think?" So in my head, I was like, what the like did this guy just say to me? So I just jumped off the cliff and that's it. Now, over the next few days, my boyfriend started hanging out with my brother, and he also had a little brother, and they would all hang out. I would just chill with my mom, mind my business, but like low-key, I was looking at him. One night, my brother asked me to go into the game room and hang out with my boyfriend and his brother, and I decided to go, and I just sat on the couch, and that's when my boyfriend came up to me. Mind you, I was already annoyed because of our first interaction. So he comes up to me and is like, "Hi, my name is Rourke," and instantly I was like, what kind of name is that? So as he was introducing himself to me, I was texting, so I would just look up at him and I'd be like, "Hi." He'd be like, "What's your name?" And I'd be like, "Christine." And then he'd say, "Where are you from?" And I was like, "New Jersey." So basically I kept giving him one-word responses and was barely acknowledging his existence, and he finally just walked away. Go to part 2 for the rest of the story. Part 2 of how me and my boyfriend met. So now it's the next day, and it's the last day of vacation, and I didn't feel well enough to go to the pool with my brother. So my brother goes to the pool, and he goes and hangs out with my boyfriend, and my boyfriend asks about me. So my brother tells my boyfriend that I'm not feeling well, and that it's our last day. So my boyfriend was like, "No, I wanted to ask her out. Like, what can we do?" My boyfriend came up with the idea that my brother was gonna memorize his number. So then when it was finally time to go, my brother hops into the car, takes my phone, and puts my boyfriend's number into my phone. And apparently I found out later that my boyfriend and his family were actually leaving, and my boyfriend came back to go get my number. So then the first text I ever sent my boyfriend was, "Hey, my brother wanted me to text you." And we kept talking like on and off for about 3 years, and I just never gave him the time of day. So over the years, he would try to make plans with me, and mind you, I was literally like 14, 15, and he lived in a different state, so it just didn't make sense as to why we would meet. So now it's been about 3 years, I'm 17 years old, I can drive a car, and he tells me he's gonna come to the mall by where I live. Now I really had no excuse to say no, so I decided to meet up with him, and when I saw him for the first time, I was like, I do not remember him looking like that. After the mall, we went to Applebee's, and that was our first date, and then we shared a little kiss. And I remember he was going to college, so I really thought like, oh my gosh, this man's never gonna talk to me ever again, but I was so wrong. After that day of like not seeing each other for about 3 years and then finally seeing each other in person, we just talked all the time, and even when he was in college and I was a senior in high school. We actually didn't date like most of college because, you know, we wanted our own space, but then by the end of college, then we started to date. Honestly, the fact that we kept in touch that whole time was just astonishing to me. Now we've been dating for almost 5 years, and that is how me and my boyfriend met.
I used to work at the zoo, and one day the gorilla died of old age. The problem was it was the only gorilla in the zoo because it wasn't very profitable. The gorilla was the most popular attraction in that zoo by far, and it couldn't afford to go another day without it. The zoo owner came up to me and said, "For an extra $100 a day, would you be willing to put on this gorilla costume until we can afford the real one?" Of course I said yeah. Pretty quickly I became the most popular thing at that zoo. Everybody wanted to see the human-like gorilla. About a month later, the craze wore off, but they kept pressuring me to get people's attention. So in an attempt to get people's attention, I climb over to where the lions are and I start hanging on by the net. All of a sudden, there's a massive crowd of people and everybody looks scared. Then I feel my grip loosening and I can't take it anymore. I scream, "Help, help," and I fell. All of a sudden, the lion comes up right behind me and whispers, "Shut up before we all get fired."